Starting with Marcus Jennings from Cass Tech High School in Detroit, Michigan. Big shout out to Coach Collins. Did a great job securing the top talent in his home state, cultivated that relationship, and defended him all the way to the finish. So excited about Marcus. Comes from a great high school program, won a state championship last year, made it to the finals this year, so comes from a great program, knows how to win, comes from a great family. Dad brought him up here a year ago to the game, and seeing him on the field, you can see Marcus's long frame. You could look at his father, Milton, and say, Marcus is going to grow into a monster. And so love his dad, intense dude, awesome guy. Mom was able to come up for spring ball and see everything too, and spending time with her, seeing how passionate she was about her son. She's shown me videos of childhood, watching him play, grow up. She even had a door, the Ring camera on the doorbell, capturing him being dominant out in the front yard. So he's always been that guy. So Marcus, for me, one of the things that always stands out is just great attitude. I mean, he's always got a smile on his face, positive attitude. He's got a great energy about him, loves football, loves to compete, loves to win. And then just physically, he's got the long limbs, he's aggressive as hell. He moves well in coverage, dominates the perimeter blocking, tackles well in space, and this year did a great job blitzing off the edge and creating havoc in the backfield. One of my favorite plays, I think it was their first playoff game, he picks off the very first pass of the game for a pick six, and so he's got that playmaking ability that we love, and so he's a hell of a football player. Excited about him, think he fits very well into our star mold, could potentially grow into a money. So that's Marcus. Next one, Desmond Johnson from Miami Northwestern, which is home of Pitt great Kalijah Cansey down there in Miami. Credit Coach Laster doing a great job finding Des down there, cultivating that relationship. Another great high school program. Won a state championship last year. They're still in the playoffs this year, doing well. Comes from a great family. Got to spend time with mom and dad. His dad worked hard on making sure he understood work ethic and earning what he wanted in life, and that's something you can see Des wears proudly, is how hard he works. When I flew down to see Des, just picked up my rental car and went to check out at the little booth there. The coach, or the guy in the booth, recognized my logo and said, "Are you here to see Des?" And it caught me off guard. I'm just checking out, getting my rental car. And I was like, yeah, how'd you know that? And he ended up being the O-line coach at Miami Northwestern, doing a little, side job. And he's like, he gives us fits every single day. He's tough as nails. And so I got a testimonial before leaving the airport on Des, which is awesome. But as you talk to other coaches in the area, you talk to the coaches on the staff and his teammates, toughness is the word that comes to mind with Des. I mean, he is as tough as it gets. I even asked one of his fellow linebackers, hey, we put you in a phone booth, who's coming out? And he was embarrassed to admit it wasn't him. He knew Des was that guy. But he's a twitchy athlete, great nose for the football. He's always flying around. He's reckless with his body. You see him flying down on kickoff. I know Coach Bro's going to love that. But he punishes guys, and then he has fun doing it. And you see him celebrating. He's got that juice. But again, he's a hell of a football player. Excited to have him. I think he fits probably money first, but we'll cross-train him, probably some star. Maybe he could grow into a Mike. We'll see. And then the third linebacker, excited about Ike Simmons. From Maury High School down there in Virginia. Again, credit Coach Laster, finding him, cultivating that relationship, great area recruiter. But another great high school program. So 3 for 3 on great high school programs. They've won 2 championships already. They're in the mix for a third, so they're still playing in the playoffs. Great family, meeting mom and dad, military background, raised him with discipline. Great people. And so he comes from another great family. Got a chance to go down there and watch his team practice. Reminded me of the movie Miracle, watching Herb Brooks line them up and just keep running them, and you can see why their program is so successful, because those guys train their tails off. And then watching Ike specifically, big muscle-bound young man, running with the skill athletes really stood out. So he's running with a bunch of smaller, leaner guys and pushing those guys. It was impressive to see him running like that day. But Ike's he's a leader. He's smart. He has great work ethic, ultimate competitor type guy, and he has the confidence at that level to be vocal, which is different, I think, than a lot of guys. He believes in himself. He believes what he's doing enough to have the confidence to look his teammates in the eye and hold them accountable, which is huge. But he's aggressive, has good instincts, plays with a high motor, And again, another good football player. So I think he'll be a great leader in the middle, be a great Mike linebacker for us. We'll also, train him at money. So 3 guys, very excited about them. Questions?
When you're talking with these commits, how often do they talk to you about what they see from the current linebackers here, obviously with the linebacker core, and how much does it just mean to have that as a selling point?
Yeah, that's a great question. All along the process, as we look at different guys, identifying guys for our fit, when we're able to sit down and watch film with them, that's a huge selling point. Look at our guys run fast, hit hard, make plays in the backfield, defensive touchdowns. Our aggressive scheme is a huge selling point, and that's certainly something they need to have, right? You want a guy who wants to come in here and be aggressive, and you see guys light up when they see those plays and envision themselves making those plays in the future. So that's huge, and our guys in the room, the linebacker room, do a great job of selling that as well, sharing their experience and what's asked of them, and so I think that's a huge thing.
What are the biggest advantages for those guys just to be able to come in January, mid-year, as early as goalies?
Coming in January is a huge advantage. Coach Bates is a big proponent of giving us time to teach in the mornings, and so we make the most all year round of teaching those guys fundamentals, football in general, situational football, scheme. And so by the time a young man starts fall camp, he's already had a winter install, a spring install, a beginning of summer install, 15 spring practices. I mean, the amount of knowledge they gain, just football, that's on top of strength and conditioning, nutrition, right? Knowing where everything is on campus and relationships with everybody in the whole program. Just football is a huge growth potential. And then you can come into fall camp, running, ready to go.
I think I remember 3 years ago you being really excited about the class you were bringing in, Braylon and Rasheem and Jordan Bass. Hearing you now, I mean, you obviously have a lot of excitement about this. Not comparing them as players, but is your excitement about this group, is it on the level that it was 3 years ago for that group?
Absolutely. And we work hard, everybody in the building, recruiting staff, through, area recruiter, position coach, coordinator, head coach, to make sure we're getting the right guys for Pitt football. And so, like you say, when we find those guys that fit, it is exciting. And so you hear that in my voice, that's genuine. I'm excited to see what these guys do. They come up to Pitt and fly around and make plays. It's gonna be awesome.
Ryan, do you find with this ability, especially on the defensive side, that when you walk into high school, like guys know exactly what you're running, they know what to expect, they know what your guys are gonna do?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge selling point. And obviously Coach Narduzzi coming in here and providing the stability, and our defensive staff stability with Coach Bates is huge. Usually a big question from mom and dad, right? They want to know that, the plan for their son that's told to them as a junior in high school is going to last the 4 or 5 years of their journey. And so we're blessed to be able to provide that. And I do think that's a huge thing and a huge advantage. Because again, going back to the first question, the dream you're selling, the ability for them to make plays in your scheme, we can show that that's happened here in the past, and it's going to continue. And it's not everywhere in the country. You look at the people who change, the landscape of college football is not the same everywhere. So we're very blessed in that.
You spoke about Coach Collins' relationship with Marcus, but what about your relationship with him and how that's grown over the last year or so?
Yeah, I have a great relationship with Marcus. Like I said, he has great personality. He's fun to talk to. He's always got something going on, always working. Loves football. He could talk about his own football for days, going through his highlights and plays. So he's fun. Same with Dad, same with Mom. Great people. And so excited to continue to build that. Excited to get him here and coach him, because I think he's a young man that wants to be great. Understands that you can't do it alone. You need guys around you, and so he'll be open to great coaching, which is fun.
When you talk about the relationships and like with families and stuff, how important is it that as we were talking about earlier, so many kids from high school, the roster is comprised of so many guys you guys recruited out of high school. At your position in particular, linebacker, there hasn't been a whole lot of giving in the transfer portal. Most of these guys are guys you recruited out of high school and have that relationship. How much does that help you to have, say, hey, we recruited these guys, they're here, they're playing, they're succeeding?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, like you said, my room, when you just talking about myself, when I can look in the room and I've recruited the whole room, that's powerful to me, important to me, and I think certainly the guys in the room, younger guys coming in can ask an older guy, hey, tell me about your path. And I think, adversity is going to happen in college football. So when a young guy can lean on an older guy for something he went through, a tough time, maybe it's an injury or setback, or maybe he's not a starter yet and wants to be, tell me about that journey. Guys can tell him how that's been handled in the past, what to expect. And it gets back to the consistency that we have within our program, which I think is a huge asset.
Anything else?
Thanks.